Hello, everybody. My name is Colin, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than what I usually do. Today I'll be reviewing three different movies, just little quickies, give you a few little quick summaries on what I thought of them, and then give my rating. And basically, around the holiday season, I'd seen a lot of movies, and I just couldn't put out separate reviews for all of them, so I thought I'd just do it all in one video. I know this is a little weirder, and at the end, you'll see me rant about probably my least favorite film of the year so far, or yeah, the year, because it's like 3 days left in the year. So yeah, worst film of the year. But you'll wait around for that. See the first two movies I'm going to talk about. So the first movie I'm talking about is Bombshell. I saw this movie on December 23rd, which is Festivus for the rest of us. Yep, big Seinfeld fan, so just have to throw out Festivus joke. But so Bombshell is basically around one of the biggest media controversies of all time, which was a group of Fox News personnel and even people that worked on Fox News, and how they came out against sexual harassment allegations against the founder, Roger Ailes. And this film, it came out like the events of this film take place in 2016, about a year before the Me Too movement. So this film really couldn't have came out at a better time. So it's like in 3 years we were able to write a pretty solid script. Overall, I thought this movie was really good. I think the biggest pro this movie has is the performances. Charlize Theron as Megyn Kelly is fantastic. She got a Golden Globe nomination. I think she deserves it. Margot Robbie was also really great. Those are her two best performances in the film by far. And I do think that Margot Robbie should have been nominated for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood instead of this movie, because she's great in this movie, but she was, in my opinion, better in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Kate McKinnon was actually also really good. I'll admit I was a little underwhelmed by Nicole Kidman's performance as Gretchen Carlson. She was really good. She just wasn't in the movie enough. And I feel like that's an issue. Like, all these different stories and plot lines in this movie, they feel like it's too much going on, but like they should have been fleshed out a little bit more. Like, at times the script could just come off as a little bit wooden, and I just didn't really care for these people because they didn't really develop them as characters. I get that it's a historical film, but it's one of those movies like Vice where it feels almost a little too overly political. And not to say that what happened wasn't bad, because Roger Ailes, this guy was such a harasshole. I mean, my God, the dude was just a major pervert and just a predator. I mean, my God. But the guy played Roger Ailes, John Lithgow. He was also really good. Overall, it was a good movie. It just isn't a great one because I don't really imagine rewatching this in the future. Because it's about sexual abuse and in Hollywood. But it's an important film that definitely needs to be recognized. And overall, I say I really like this movie. It's got great performances, pretty solid script, not great, but yeah, overall it was a good movie. On a scale of 0 to 4 stars, I'd give it a 2.5 out of 4 stars. Really solid movie. Overall, really enjoyed it. Now, the next film on my list is Little Women. A list, what the hell am I talking about? I saw this actually just 2 days ago, and overall, I was actually surprised. I loved it quite a bit. It's basically about four sisters, Amy, Jo, Beth, and Meg, and Jo March, who's a very famous writer, and how she's really going through trouble as a writer. This film is directed by Saoirse Ronan, it's directed by, I'm sorry, I'm just messing up here. It's directed by Greta Gerwig, who did Lady Bird, and Saoirse Ronan was also in Lady Bird. That's why I messed up. And Saoirse Ronan, she was so good in Lady Bird. I loved her. And I don't think this movie is as great as Lady Bird, because that's like one of my favorite A24 films. Honestly, one of my favorite coming of age movies in recent years. So I was really excited for this movie, and it definitely did pay off. The really great performances in here. I mean, you got Saoirse Ronan, obviously, Emma Watson, Timothy Chalamet, who's in Lady Bird, Florence Pugh, who's in Midsummer. I honestly think in this movie she was really great. Personally, I might like her performance a little more in Midsummer, but I can definitely see all of them getting some award consideration. Meryl Streep was also really great. I love Meryl Streep. She was great in Big Little Lies this year. Laura Dern is also an actress where pretty much everything recently, I've loved her in everything she's been in. I mean, Cold Pursuit, Marriage Story, Big Little Lies, Last Jedi. Laura Dern is just such a great actress, and she's going to have quite the career in the next few years, and she's had a great career so far. So the it's not really a film for me, because it's about a group of women taking place in like the 1800s living together. And it does feel a little slow paced at times. My friend actually liked it a lot more than he thought he was at the beginning. The film's really well directed. It's got some beautiful cinematography and a pretty good score. Bob Odenkirk is also in the third act of the movie. He was really good. I love seeing Bob Odenkirk because I'm a big fan of him as Saul on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And overall, the film was really well acted. The writing was really good, and it's just a great movie. It's not one of my favorites of the year because I don't really imagine myself rewatching this film too much. And this is actually a movie that does have some good feminine values in it, and it's nice to see a movie that portrays feminism well. Because I just saw Black Christmas a few days ago. It was awful, one of the worst films of the year. I don't want to talk about that movie, but because I will talk about another awful movie. I don't like to talk too much about awful movies, but this movie definitely does feminism in a good way, and it can be a very empowering movie for some young writers and people that need some belief in their own selves for who are young creators and whatever they're doing. So overall, I really loved Little Women. It's got great performances, great writing, great movie. Not one of my favorites of the year, but loved it. On a scale of 0 to 4 stars, I'd give it a strong 3 to 4 stars. Great movie. All right, I'm finally going to talk about the worst. And when I say this, I mean the worst film of 2019. And that is Cats. Oh my god. So, let's just backtrack. The rest of this video is going to be a complete rant of Cats. When I saw the trailer for Cats, I was very not I didn't think it was going to be bad. I just thought it looked weird. It just seeing all these CGI cats moving around, and the CGI just in this movie, it looks awful, but it's also so cringy. Like, just to see all these humans, like, they're not even like, this is the CGI, like the tails, it's CGI'd onto these humans, and it just looks so unnatural and disgusting. This film has a pretty good cast. I mean, you got Idris Elba, Ian McKellen, James Corden. Not a fan of the guy. He was already in the Emoji Movie, which was really shit. And I honestly would say this movie is nearly as shit as the Emoji Movie. This movie's really awful. Rebel Wilson's usually hit or miss. She has this one song that goes on for way too long, and she was pretty awful in this movie. Just Taylor Swift was also pretty awful. Just really bad acting in this movie. And I do like Tom Hooper as a filmmaker. I really like The King's Speech. I do think it's a little overrated. I definitely don't think it should have been Inception for Best Picture, because that's one of my favorite films of all time. But I really liked Les Mis, so I do think that Tom Hooper is a pretty good filmmaker. Not amazing, but he's pretty good. So for him to make a film this god awful, it really is surprising. This is not only for me the worst film of the year, but honestly one of the worst movies I've seen in years. I can't think of anything good about this movie. The writing is so bad, and it just has cat puns, like cat got your tongue, just little shit like that. They make these little jokes, and puns is something where it can be funny if you do it once, but the more you do it, it just irritates me. And I hear the word, this film is very repetitive at times. I heard the word jellicles probably 50, 100 times in this movie. Like, maybe not even that much, but a lot. Like, that's the point. Oh, they use that word way too much in this film. I get that they're jellicle cats or whatever, but come on, just... And this film just in concept is ridiculous. I know it's based on the popular Broadway play, and I've never seen the play, but if it's anything like this, it really can't be that good. Like, I hope this is just a complete shit show and complete disservice to the play in every way, because the play I've heard nothing but great things about, and for this film to be that shit, my god, to say it's really bad, because it is just so god awful in every sense of the word. It's horribly acted. It's very boring. Like, I honestly thought this was going to be a laughably bad movie like The Room, but The Room I can at least enjoy by laughing at it. This is depressingly bad because I didn't give two shits about any of these characters. I could give two shits about the plot. I just didn't care. It was so boring. And I honestly almost fell asleep at several different parts. If I hadn't drinking my slushy, probably would have fallen asleep. But yeah, this is just really, it's awful. I would be surprised if any of you like this movie. If you're like biased and you love the show, I guess that's the only possible way you could like this. There's like no other things. And I like ambitious filmmaking, but this film is too weird. Like, it's too ambitious. Like, I'm seeing these cats like freaking licking each other's crotches and sniffing each other's asses. It's too much, and it's just it's one of the most disgusting movies I've ever seen because of how ugly it is, and just the characters are awful, the writing's awful, the storytelling and everything about it. I just hate this movie so much, and I'm just sitting in this theater, just I was like tearing at my eyes, like what the hell am I watching? Why won't this end? And when I looked down at my watch when the movie was over, it's only about 100 minutes long, and it feels like it goes on for a much longer than that because it is so horribly paced. It's just awful. Fucking hated this movie. I don't like cursing it too much on my channel, but this is a movie so awful it deserves it. I put this in the same tier as some of the worst films of the decade. It's probably the worst musical I've ever seen because the songs just go on for way too long, and I don't find the songs to be particularly good. Just I can't think of anything positive to say about this movie. And it's like you look at the director, you look at the fact that it's based on one of the most beloved plays of all time, and you look at the cast and you're like, this should be a good movie. And there is effort put into this film, but it is all a massive failure. It's just like it's this movie's a huge pile of shit. And it doesn't matter how you're rating this on a scale of A plus to F, 0 to 10. Any way you rate this, it's just when you're thinking from an objective standpoint, this is like give it the most negative rating possible. That's why on a scale of 0 to 4 stars, I'm gonna give Cats a 0 out of 4 stars. Really awful. And I don't review a lot of bad movies, and there definitely have been a fair share of bad movies I've seen this year. I saw 80 films this year. I'd say there were about 10 or 15 that I thought were really shit, and Cats was probably the one I hated the most. This film just annoyed the living shit out of me. I just hated everything about it, and that's why I'm giving it 0 to 4 stars. Because I probably won't do this that much in the future. But when a movie like this is so historically bad, I have to talk about it just to make sure you guys don't see this. And I'm glad this movie isn't doing well at the box office. I'm glad nobody's seeing it because it deserves that. This movie shouldn't make money. Don't support it. Whatever you do not see the cinematic failure and the absolute abortion that this film is. Because Cats was without a doubt the worst time I had watching a movie in 2019. Oh, well, that was Cats. Thanks for watching my quickie, guys. I might do some of these more in the future whenever you have a lot of movies coming out around the holidays. And I hate to end it on a negative note, which just ending it on such a huge, shitty movie like Cats. Just Cats. Fucking hated that movie, and I just don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want to waste my breath on it. So that's why I just want to get it all out in one video. And at least it was with two other much better films. So, I recommend seeing Bombshell and Little Women. Don't see Cats. There's so many great movies in theaters right now. I mean, even Star Wars, which I was disappointed with, it's at least an enjoyable and decent movie. Cats has nothing enjoyable or decent about it. Everything is awful. Okay, guys, thanks for watching my video today. Please make sure to subscribe and like. Thank you all for watching, and I will hasta la vista.